I have an Oxford review of Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday from 1993, directed by Adam Marcus, and of course, the 9th film in the Friday the 13th franchise. So yes, we are back once again, ready to discuss Friday the 13th from the channel, this time around the 9th film, and a very, very divisive film in the franchise, and yeah, one that I look forward to discussing today. There will be a spoiler warning for this discussion. If you haven't seen this film, I should be recommending it first, and then come back to this video, and we can go from there. We can talk about this from the comments and all things Friday the 13th. So yeah, with all that said, let's discuss my thoughts on this film, and yeah, a really interesting one here today, and you know, one that I'd seen once before, but yeah, just you know, this is my only rewatch last night, and I did a double billing with this and Jason X actually in the same day, and you know, same evening. So yeah, it'd be interesting to talk about that as well very soon. But you know, I had a little bit of a break from the Friday the 13th reviews. We'll be uploading the ranking next month on the Friday the 13th, and yeah, look forward to that. And just a few films to talk about, you know, going after this with Jason X and the remake. I'm not going to review Freddy vs. Jason again. I did cover that a few years ago, and yeah, I will be watching that again, but I won't be reviewing it again. But you know, after you know, the remake review will be the ranking. So yeah, look forward to that. But for now, let's discuss this film, and this is the one that is very, very bizarre. And seeing it again, I will say very quickly, this is not as bad of an experience as last time round, and you know, I just think last time, you know, I didn't really find any enjoyment in this film too much, other than some of the kills and just, you know, I think some of the campy moments. This time round, I did actually get behind some of the characters, and you know, I found it just to be some, you know, enjoyable moments in this film, and it wasn't all bad. You know, I don't think it's a good film, this one. It's definitely one of the low points, you know, of the franchise, and I think one of the things about this is just it goes way too, you know, heavy into the kind of fantasy, you know, elements, and you know, sci-fi really, and just the fact that Jason is not really, once again, really on screen too much. It's not really Jason Voorhees. You know, he kind of possesses, you know, in physical form, he possesses different people throughout, and you know, kind of his soul, you know, whatever it is, kind of goes into them and kind of you know, keeps jumping about, and you know, I think the way it was done just wasn't really for me. Just once again seeing it, it's one of the weakest parts of the film, even though there are some decent kills here and there. You know, I think actually there's some, yeah, there's some good kills, although some of them are a bit too gross with the slimy, you know, the goo and all this, and just, you know, the kind of the kitchen moment there as well, the death of one of the characters. But I think, you know, for the most part, some of the kills, you know, are good, and you know, I think that's definitely a step up from maybe, you know, 7 and you know, 8 at times. But yeah, this one, you know, I think just the way in which Jason Voorhees, you know, in physical form, isn't really in the film at all, really. And you know, it's just this whole kind of, once again, you know, a bit of a weird kind of plot here. And we have the last remaining descendant, you know, Jessica, played by Kari, Keegan. You know, she kind of is the only one that can kind of defeat Jason in that sense, and yeah, send him, you know, kind of. Obviously, in the end, it's kind of implied that he goes to hell, but you know, kind of being pulled under and all this kind of stuff under the soil, and yeah, then we have, of course, which we'll get to a bit, you know, the kind of reference, you know, for the universe itself, you know, Freddy, of course, Freddy Krueger, but yeah, you know, we have just, I think, the way it opens up was not good, and you know, I think last time maybe that threw me off, and you know, I was just in a kind of a way where, you know, a lot of the film just kind of washed over me, because the film, you know, opens up in such a strange way, and we have just characters, you know, the acting as well. It's just the way that the film is put together, the tone, and the whole kind of yeah, the open to this, the credits, the titles. It's just it's not very good at all. And I don't really see the point in, you know, including that scene to kind of, you know, that's kind of sequence to put into the opening, you know, the film with the kind of titles, the credits coming in there and kind of edited around this. It's just a really bizarre, you know, kind of scene to have here, the way it's done. But I think after the first 5-10 minutes, you know, the film, it does kind of pick up, and there are some charming interactions. John D. LeMay playing Stephen Freeman in this film, I think was probably my favourite character overall, and you know, he's quite charming, quite, you know, warm as a presence, you know, throughout the film, and you know, I think Stephen Williams as well, you know, playing Duke, you know, the bounty hunter, you know, Creighton Duke, you know, he's quite a cool character as well. You know, I think it's a really bizarre character, and you know, his hat and all this, and you know, it's just a really strange kind of tone at times, this film, and you know, this bounty hunter, you know, the film who kind of has the exposition really, you know, for how to kill Jason, you know, the dagger, the magical dagger, and it only able to happen through this last remaining descendant, you know, of course, with Jessica and all this, you know, of Jason, and you know, it's really bizarre how they kind of introduced into the story that Jason has a sister, and you know, I'm not really sure at all how to feel about this, and just changing quite a few things in this as well, you know, the law, and you know, I think just the way in which we have this magical dagger being the only thing that can stop him, you know, I think it just wasn't really that well done in a sense, and you know, I think that's definitely the thing that lets it down, is the story, the plot, and just the whole kind of tone at times with the actual, with Jason in this film. And I think him being not really there as in a physical form, and all this kind of weird stuff going on, fantasy elements. I don't think, at times it was quite funny, in a campy way, but it didn't really work fully for me. But I did enjoy, as I say, some of the characters, the interactions, and I think just some of the kind of set pieces, in this film, and I think just. It has a nice set of locations as well, and I think just a little bit of a return to some of the classic films, in the locations, and it's nice to see just Crystal Lake again. There are generally some good visuals to the film, and there is some good editing, throughout here and there, and I think having said that, a lot of the film as well, has that kind of cheap feel, and it is really, really, really B grade, and I'd probably say less than that at times. It feels like a kind of sci-fi channel film that you would find, and because obviously the Friday the 13th films, are kind of known for their low budget, and that's one of the things I like about the franchise. It's very charming, and I think just it's really nice, and it's just really it makes me feel warm and nostalgic. But I think this one is kind of going the extra mile with that, and it just feels very, very cheap, and just really bizarre at times as well. We have the kind of demon at the end coming out of Jason, and or whoever he was possessing at that point, and it's just kind of the fact that this film just kind of went too heavy into the lore. Actually, just some things I would have liked to have been left, and to kind of leave to our imagination. But they really went full on with this, and it was very, very just on the nose, and the whole kind of way in which they changed the lore. And in the end, though, we have kind of this bizarre final act, and some funny moments there, and some cool kind of team ups. I think, and with Jessica, and as well Stephen. But I think just seeing Jason kind of being dragged under, his kind of all the souls are being released, and then these kind of demons are kind of pulling him down into hell. This is, for me, it was just well, you could say it's quite epic and quite cool. I would, it's very strange, and I think they just went way too far with some of this. And in the end, though, we do have that kind of cool reference, to, of course, Freddy Krueger, and it's kind of teasing this Freddy versus Jason. At this point, it wouldn't happen for another 10 years, so it's quite bizarre. And Jason X as well was 2001, so it's really just definitely one that kind of leaves you waiting for this if you were kind of kind of watching it at the time, and seeing this, and it's really strange, but I think that is quite cool, and you got the laugh and all this. It's quite a cool ending, but some of the outcome of this, just the way in which Jason is defeated by this magical dagger, it's just a bit too much for me. I don't think Friday the 13th, as a franchise, needed all this kind of full-on fantasy, kind of sci-fi elements. It was just way too far, and I think we have got some good kills in this film, as I say, but I think just the whole. I think one of the things about this is the body horror. It's a bit too gross for me, and I do enjoy body horror, in cinema, but I think this one at times is a bit too far, to the point where it's just really, really gross, and it kind of takes away from my experience. As I say, mainly just the bits where there's all goo involved and all this in the skin, and just. I think it's just a bit too much, and for a 13th film, it kind of takes me out, and it's not really, it doesn't fully feel like a Friday the 13th film, really, and it's just a very odd film in the franchise. It has got some unique moments, though. I think the meta nature of this, we do actually have some, pretty effective, kind of parodying of the media. When Jason is kind of believed to be dead, at first, and the media is kind of reporting this, and I think just some of the dialogue there, and the kind of, the actual reporting, the media, the way that's portrayed is actually quite funny, and quite an effective kind of parody there. So that was quite good. It was quite well written at times, in certain places, and I just think it is just really, really B grade, this one, and it holds back in certain areas, and then it goes really, really full on with the lore, and just the kind of way in which they're doing really supernatural fantasy elements with Jason, and it's just too much overall for me, but I do enjoy some of the characters and the interactions, and some of the tone of this, is quite funny, and it is actually quite effective at times, and I think the locations at times, well, some of them are not too great. The diner for me, and the way that some of the characters were there, just wasn't overall, that enjoyable. Was a bit, kind of, it could have been done better there, really. Just some of the characters, the way they're portrayed, in this kind of main sequence, in the daytime, and also the, kind of nighttime, I just think wasn't really there for me. Having said that, though, I did really enjoy Leslie Jordan in this film, and Shelby B, and he's got some appearances here, and just the sequence when him and some of the characters get kind of killed there, in the kitchens and all this, in that diner there. That was hilarious, and I think just his reactions, his reactions there, and just in the film he is really funny, and I think Leslie Jordan definitely elevates some of these scenes, and I think just that does lead to one of the grossest moments, with the kills. For me, it probably went a bit too far there, as I say. But some of the characters, as I say, then some of the side characters and just the interactions and the vibe of this, is campy fun at times. Other times, it's just a bit flat, and it's kind of it's not really that kind of dynamic in this film at times. It just feels very much as I say, like a Sci-Fi Channel film, and if you know what they are, and just I think it does lose steam at times, and overall it's just not enough kind of campy moments, and investing with narrative to kind of fully engage me throughout, and I think I just wasn't, again, kind of big on the choices they made with Jason in this film. That's one of the worst things. It's just the portrayal of Jason, the fact that the choice to kind of include all these different characters that get possessed by him, and in the end the dagger and all this, it could have been cool, but I just think it's just way too much for a Jason film, Friday the 13th film, and it really does at times not, it really doesn't feel like a Friday the 13th film at all. There are some moments here and there, the parts, at the lake, and with the killings and stuff at night, but overall it's such a bizarre film in the franchise, and I think it's definitely a very divisive film. I think it's not an awful film for me personally, but it's definitely one of the low points in the franchise, and seeing this and then Jason X, it was just quite a bizarre experience, the same night, and it was, both of these films, I think they are just so far removed from the original films, and even 6 and 7, they had obviously supernatural elements, especially 7, that film really wacky at times, but they did pull it off, quite effectively, and I think this film, it just goes way too far, and it's not at times fully committing actually as well to the lore, and it's just very uneven, and it feels a bit kind of cobbled together, really, a bit muddled and messy, and it's just a kind of strange film for sure, and a really bizarre ending with some epic moments throughout, some funny moments. I did enjoy some of the characters and interactions. As I say, it does elevate the film, so it's not all bad, but it's just so much of this that I wasn't big on, and quite a few elements that were just they missed the mark for me, and it didn't fully mesh these genres, and it's just a bit kind of a bit too far with the kind of as I say, the gore at times, the gross kills. It's just I think it was too much with the body horror at times for me, and as I say, those two kills especially that I mentioned. Other times the kills are definitely well done and enjoyable in this film. We'll give it that. And just some of the writing is quite effective for sure, but it's not enough overall for me to enjoy this film. And I think overall this is a weak film. It's not an awful film, not a bad film, but it just falls short once again. And I think it just could have been so much more, and it's definitely a film that obviously New Line Cinema was the first one, kind of distributed by them, and it's a very, very different film. In this kind of production, it feels like we have obviously Kane Hodder once again, which is great. He is kind of not really in the film as much though, as we know, but he does also have kind of cameo appearances at first with one of the guards there, and kind of in the actual flesh there. It's definitely really cool, but the whole kind of choice to, as I say, make it more demons involved in the plot, and obviously Jason's soul possessing different characters, it just doesn't really work overall for me. Well, there are some funny campy moments involved with this, I think it isn't really what I wanted from this film. So seeing it a second time round, it's definitely one I didn't dislike as much, but it's still not one that I personally like overall. And so my rating for this film is a 47%. So not a very good score from me. It's not an awful film, but it does definitely fall short, and it's not one of my favourites in the franchise at all. There are some things that I do praise in this film, and definitely moments that I do kind of enjoy in this film, and some sequences, some characters, some performances as well, and even just some of the side characters, and the whole kind of bounty hunter plot in this film. I definitely will say that I did enjoy it at times, and I think Stephen Williams in this film has charisma, definitely some performances that kind of elevate the film with the energy and just the kind of charm, but I think there's just so much of this that doesn't really work for me, and the way that Jason is portrayed, the lore, and the way they kind of done this narrative, and just some of the real cheap kind of moments in this film, and just just bad moments really, especially the opening. I think it does, kind of combine to create this really odd, bizarre film that is enjoyable at times with some campy moments, but overall it just misses the mark, and it's definitely a very underwhelming film for a Friday the 13th film, and just looking back to some of the previous films, just thinking, I wish they could all be like this, but this one for me personally is not a good film, and I didn't overall enjoy this. While there's some moments that I found quite fun and campy and fairly effective at times, it just wasn't overall a film that I consistently enjoyed for the narrative and for the overall tone of this one and what they've done, with the lore and with Jason. So yeah, that's my thoughts. What do you think? It'd be really great to hear, your thoughts on this film, your experience, and how does this compare for you to different films in the franchise? It'd be great to hear in the comments, your thoughts on that. And next up will be Jason X, and this is another bizarre film, and even more bizarre at times than this one. So I look forward to talking about that as well within the next week. And after that will be the remake as well, which I've only seen kind of once before, and as well. So that'll be interesting to kind of rewatch and review that. And then obviously on the Friday the 13th in December will be the actual full ranking of the series. So look forward to that and hearing your rankings eventually as well. But for now, let's discuss this film in the comments and all things Friday the 13th. So yes, as always, take care and thanks for watching.